Okay, help me work through this. It's not uncommon when you are proposing a new feature or working on something that contains a little bit of controversy that you get feedback or criticism or worry that essentially amounts to, if we do a bad job of this, it will be bad. Sometimes it's disguised under other language, but when you pick it apart, that's what it's coming down to. If we do a bad job of this, it will be bad. I wasn't planning to do a bad job. Were you planning to do a bad job? Honestly, I don't think this feedback is trying to imply that you were going to do a bad job. So where is it coming from? Obviously, that comes from a place of fear. The person making this assertion is worried about what could happen. Not what will happen, but what could happen. And it's very easy to give into that. You're right. If we put a trans character in our game and do a bad job, it could be bad. But that's ultimately cowardice, because it's not saying you will do a bad job. It's saying you could do a bad job. And if we're unwilling to try difficult things, then I would argue that in and of itself is bad. It's bad through the sin of mediocrity. But the reason why we're having this conversation is because I worry that if you understand that, if you understand that if we do a bad job, it will be bad, is pointless feedback, it may cause a different problem. Because sometimes that feedback, or feedback at least that sounds an awful lot like that, is actually saying something a little bit different. What it's saying is, if we do a bad job, it will be bad. And I don't currently understand how it is possible for us not to do a bad job. So if you end up in a situation where you remove your team's ability to have concerns about controversial situations, then you might end up in the opposite problem where you're pushing boundaries that you're not equipped to push. So what's the answer? As with a lot of these things, awareness of everyone involved, or at least some of the people involved, is the path forward. If someone is providing feedback that essentially comes down to, if we do a bad job, it will be bad, then I think the next step is to start to pick that apart. Why do you think we will do a bad job? Is this just worry, or is there a reason why what you are currently seeing is going to lead to us doing a bad job? Do we not have the right voices at the table? Are we trying to represent someone when we don't have that representation on the creative team? Because certainly, yes, that's a worry. It's very easy to do a bad job representing someone if you don't have any voice that speaks with the voice of who you're trying to represent. But this doesn't mean you should be defending every decision on your project from every sea lion or argumentative team member who wants to worry or concern-mance their way to mediocrity. Stick to your convictions, have reasons why you think you can do an effective job, but don't endlessly argue those reasons with every member of the team. I'll say this to the producers who are listening. I think you should be one of the first people to ask for an explanation as to why this controversial topic can be done effectively, the tools and processes in place to avoid doing a bad job. But once that explanation is given, and I think you should give that person the benefit of the doubt with their explanation. Once that explanation is given, I think it now becomes your responsibility to defend the decision, to explain to the other people who are concerned the processes that are in place to ensure that a bad job doesn't occur. As is too often the case, the answer is gray. I hate that, but it's basically the reality of the world. I think you don't want to give in to the fear caused by, if we do a bad job, it will be bad. But I do think you need to examine the place where that feedback is coming from and make sure that you're not ignoring it simply because you want to take risks and you may not be equipped to adequately pursue those areas. I really do hate it when there isn't a cut and dry binary answer, but here we are again, and here we will be many times in the future. Thank you for joining me today. Please give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you again soon. Thank you.